That's something, boy.
Oh,
When I was doing some work for SCADA, like SCADA work, for one TCEC out in like West Texas, dirty welders would cause more problems for us than just about anything.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
I know we had that clock that always ran behind, and there was no way to fix it. And it was kind of crooked on the wall. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for the Economic Development Corporation for the city of White House, Texas on February 10th, 2022. It is 12 p.m. Susan, may I ask you to call the roll, please?
yes, sir. Bob Breedlove, Charles Parker,
Here.
Cindy Miller, Ernie LaFleur,
Here.
John Chambers,
Here.
Maria Davenport,
Here.
and Tom Trimble.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. Item number 1, the approval of minutes from the EDC meeting way back on October 14th of 2021, which is the last time we all got together, guys. Wow. Yeah, it's hard to believe. Anyway, I'll take a motion at this point.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Ernie, you
I'll second.
Okay, there you go. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, let the record show it's passed unanimously. Item C, presentations. We don't have anything. Public forum. I don't see anybody here. Anybody want to turn into a citizen or something and talk to us? No. All right, moving on to item E, agenda items. Number 1, interagency coordinator overview. Yay.
I'll introduce Stephanie. So if you don't know Stephanie Nichols, she has taken over a new position that is called the Interagency Coordinator. She started in that role in January. She's been with the city for several years previously as a customer service clerk, so we're happy she's moved up and kind of taken on this role. And her primary function is to work with agencies within our community to provide them support with whatever they may need, and then also to serve the EDC as a part of that role too. This position was identified in the city's 2019 management plan, and so we're happy to be at the point to have her, and she's already taken things and run with them. So I'll let her talk about a little bit about the things she's been working on for, I guess, a month now. So.
Yep, a whole month, and it feels like a lot longer because I've met like a million people in 1 month. So, I know I met most of you prior to this, but I have worked at the city for about almost 4 years now, and so I'm pretty excited to get the opportunity to move into a new role. Over the last month, I have met with almost every group that I could meet with. I met with the Ministerial Alliance, Keep White House Beautiful. I've met with the Chamber. I met with people from the library, and I met with the Parks and Rec, and I met with Farmers Market, and anyone else I missed. But I pretty much met more people than I thought I'd ever met since I started working here. But and I've kind of been getting to know like the inner workings of all of those organizations and learning where I can kind of help fill in gaps for them. And I like with the Parks and Rec Foundation, we were helping get some paperwork moved along for them so they can get their nonprofit status, and Keep White House Beautiful, helping with getting agendas moved forward and kind of streamlining those types of things. And so, yeah, I'm excited moving forward with that, and then whatever else we have going on, and then every in and out I can get my hands on pretty much. And then of course with the EDC, look forward to trying to learning a lot more about that. And yeah, that's my main, I'm really excited to learn about the EDC. Development is something I'm really interested in, so.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Very excited.
As Leslie mentioned, this was such a key part of the management plan of running things going forward. And, you know, that tool just keeps on giving, in my opinion, that we came up with a few years ago. And I'm very pleased with it, and I'm pleased to have Stephanie. And I think we're just continuing to head in the right direction with all of this. So, biggest thing is now that we gotta get the EDC chugging in a consistent direction. See where that takes us. So, anyway, anybody got anything else?
Well, I'll just say, I've been in a couple meetings now where Stephanie's been there and everybody immediately cheers. Oh, Stephanie's gonna be able to fix everything. Yay!
I'll do what I can.
Yeah, I know. I say, Stephanie's gonna get stretched pretty thin pretty quick here, but it's sure appreciated.
Glad to help.
Yeah, I think we all realize that we have a lot of organizations that really make up the heart of the community, but they're largely volunteers, and so having some dedicated staff support, even on a limited basis, or spreading her pretty thin across those organizations is really valuable. I know it's valuable to me. I know it's valuable to Susan to take on some of those things that in the past have just kind of fallen by the wayside because we just don't have the capacity to take on. I think it's probably the same for this organization. So she's already proven her value in several places, so we're really glad we had the chance to make that move.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be an evolving role, I would think, and I would think that politics aside, I think that you're gonna be pulled in a lot of directions, and I'm sure you're prepared for that.
Yeah.
And so, that'll probably be the challenging part, is everybody's gonna have great expectations, but I think for this group, I know we'll be very supportive of it, so. Anybody else? Item 2, fiber feasibility study update and overview of timing. Been a lot of stuff on social media about all of this, so.
Yeah, we've been pushing that out pretty hard. As you all know, we are undertaking a fiber feasibility study. We've hired Cobb Finley to serve as our consultant to put that study together, and they came in and really hit the ground running. Right now, we are asking all of our citizens and businesses to complete a very brief survey and a speed test at their location, whether it's home, business, or both. And that way we can just gather data on what services people are currently using, what challenges they're facing, and how we can make sure they have better service going forward. As of Tuesday night, we had just over 150 responses on both of those things, the survey and the speed test, which is pretty good to have just pushed it out on Friday. We will be doing a direct mail postcard, hopefully out in the mail by the end of this week, early next week, with that information as well, because we realize we're missing a lot of people on social media. Even if they're connected, they may not see our information on social media, so we're gonna do that. And we'll host a town hall meeting for anybody that has any questions, concerns, wants to learn more about the study next Thursday night, February 17th at 6 p.m. here. Cobb Finley will be on hand to answer any questions that anybody may have, so.
Is that gonna be added to the water bill note as well?
I don't know that we're gonna have one go out and be delivered by the time the survey would close.
Okay.
So that's why we're doing a separate mailing.
Gotcha.
Because we would have had to have had the information prior to the bills going out this last time, and we didn't have it soon enough, so. That's kind of where we stand on that. We are seeing a lot of movement in current and new providers wanting to come in. Suddenlink sent a meeting request this morning about what investments they're wanting to make in the community all of a sudden. We do know that Vexus has plans to come in, and Conterra is currently doing some work. So as part of this study, Cobb Finley will be talking to each of those providers as well to understand. I mean, our goal is really just that our citizens have great service. I don't know that, it doesn't matter to me where they get it from, as long as they have great connectivity and great service at a reasonable price. So that's the goal. It's not to be exclusive. It's just, we just want great competitive service. So that's kind of where we stand on that. So the next big thing, like I said, will be the town hall meeting. That survey and speed test will be open through first couple of days of March, I believe. And then we are also trying to get all of our stakeholder meetings scheduled and complete by that first week of March. The study completion date is, I think they're gonna present it to council on April 12th. So we are rocking and rolling on that.
It's great.
I have heard, excuse me, just some this would be a question in case I can't make the meeting or don't get a chance to review the report for a while, but I have heard that, somehow suddenly has gotten themselves in a situation where they are no longer an approved state vendor for public entities. And specifically, that's affecting the UT system. And, since all of their entire internet is run through UT, and now then there's a glitch on whether or not they can actually pay the bill. So I've heard.
Huh.
So that's, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just what I was told. So then that begs the question is how many other school districts does that affect that are on similar arrangements with, the state? So, I don't know, but competition is a good thing. And I think that's how you overcome these kinds of concerns and that, and I think heading this study and going this direction was the right avenue to follow.
And we're also seeing, as you all know, a lot of funding opportunities coming from the federal level, and we expect that that's going to continue for quite some time. And what we're finding is that those organizations that are to the point that they have a study and have identified shovel-ready projects are immediately being moved up in the list of federal funding opportunities. And so having the study complete by April with projects identified will be a huge move in making sure that we are competitive for those dollars for whatever projects may come out of that study. So that's great. We're seeing a big regional effort with both UT, East Texas Council of Governments. Everybody's kind of trying to push some of these projects forward. So it just puts us in a great position.
Does this include wireless at all, or just fiber?
It could include wireless, but I think our focus and really goal is to have fiber connectivity as much as we can. There may be opportunities or places that we can't, or it's not.
Just with this 5G business, that's gonna be a new competitor.
Yeah.
5G is still backhauled on a fiber network though, so it has very short, like, range capability. And so you'd have to do what they call microcell. So you'd have to put a ton of towers throughout White House, and you still have to connect them somewhere.
Okay.
But our response to Cobb Finley is we really want fiber connectivity
Really
to
worried
the
about the fiber.
extent possible,
Yeah.
yes.
I think 5G's got some other issues that are federal issues going on right now with the,
Oh, yeah, the airports, yeah.
Yeah, and Starlink has satellites falling out of the sky allegedly, according to a news report I read yesterday.
Yeah, that was, the solar storm could cause that? Wow.
Yeah,
that
took out
was-
40 or 43 is what I read in the article.
Yeah, golly.
they're dealing with the silicone chip issue though. Most, just like car manufacturers and everybody else.
Yeah,
And so I know my order has been delayed because of it. But they're also dealing with the, one question I have is the way the federal grants are done, they do it by maps, I guess census block maps. Is there any, I know Connect Texas has better maps. Is there any way, because if you've got one individual in a census block that gets gig up, gig down, then they consider the whole census block to have gig up, gig down capability. Does that affect us here in White House?
I don't know the answer to that question. My guess is probably. I think that's why we're seeing a big push for regional efforts, just so that it better puts us in a better position if we're doing something in conjunction with more partners than just us. Because I think, just like we face with it, kind of any other grant program, our demographics aren't such that we're competitive a lot of times because of things like that, or the way our census blocks fall out. So that's another reason why we have a great consulting team that, they have a dedicated, finance and grant person assigned to our study, so, we'll be sure and ask them that
Okay.
Thursday.
That's, I've seen that being a problem in other places.
Okay.
Anything else? Big meeting on the 27th.
17th.
17.
So that meeting will largely be soliciting feedback from the community, or is, do they are gonna make a presentation? Or?
Yes.
And I plan on being there. I think it's important for
Yeah,
us to be there. So,
Yeah. So far, I will say that the feedback has been largely positive. I've only had, I think, one person that maybe, wasn't in favor of us doing the study. But other than that, I think it's been received really well. So I'll take one out of, as many.
did they work for Southern Link?
They do.
Okay, we're wrapping that discussion up, moving on to item 3, update and discussion on the strategic plan.
Members of the EDC, if you remember, I don't know how many months ago, we started with an RFQ or an RFP to develop a strategic plan. Those first bids came in at well over $200,000. We went back out. That one bid that we received back came in over $100,000. I will say that I have a separate meeting about something else set up with Tom Mullins tomorrow that I would like to talk to him about, maybe coming in and doing some goal setting, at least to get us started. And then I think we could expand on that. But one of the things that you have in front of you is the strategic plan for Fullshear EDC. Charles sent that over earlier this week or last week. I think Fullshear is actually who I used to develop the first RFP. I copied their RFP, so he thought it would be helpful for you to see what maybe a $200,000 plan looks like, to see why, they cost what they do. And I will say right now, any kind of consulting project that we're going out for is running into the $100,000 range these days. That's not uncommon. So while I had sticker shock when I opened them, we're seeing that to kind of be the common number. A few years ago, it was 60,000. I felt like every consulting contract I let was about that range, and now they're apparently at the 100K. But I do think let me at least talk to Tom Mullins before we take any action and kind of see what he thinks would be reasonable, and if he could help maybe facilitate some things from us, would be staff's recommendation right now. Given his experience in our region, I think that would be helpful.
What I would like to see us do is reevaluate and come up with our own mission and values to start, and then drill down to where we have 3 main areas of focus. And I have an idea of what I think those 3 main things should be, but I would really appreciate some guidance from the outside to maybe tell me if my ideas are valid, or maybe need some work, or whatever else.
Charles, why don't you want me to set up a meeting with you, Tom, and I, and see what we can maybe come up with?
Sure.
That sound like
Sure.
a good
And,
next step.
and then go with that, and, if we could do just a few hour meeting or something with, everybody here, and see what we could come up with out of that, instead of, but I think what I told Leslie is, that's a little over $1,000 a page to come up with. Can we find the $200 a page and limit it to like 20 pages? I think that's a good starting point. We don't need the Bible at this point, and we're trying to get started, and we need some basic guidelines and parameters, in my opinion, and what we should and shouldn't be focusing on.
As a staff internally, we were talking, you think about the things that we've been able to do with the 6 bold steps.
Right.
It's just 6 big bold steps. Now there are tasks underneath that, but it's not it doesn't need to be a full-blown 200-page kind of document. I think there's a time and a place for that one day. I just
Right.
don't know that we're there yet, and I think we can still make progress, be progressive, and produce.
And the city of Fulcher interestingly, their demographics are very similar to ours, 10 years ago. And now then Fulsheur's 10 times the size because they're on the outskirts of Houston. And so people have migrated that way. So, having an economic development plan to figure out what they were gonna attract and what kind of growth and how they were gonna manage that was pretty important to them. So I can understand why they spent the money, and they also did this like 5, 6 years ago, I think. I think I saw it was
2019, I was thinking.
yeah,
Was it
20
Yeah.
2018, 19.
Yeah, it's not too.
So, anyway, which means that they started that process though back in probably 2017. Because all these things they move at the speed of government.
Yeah.
And, but I did think it was important for all of you guys to see what one of these things held and all the details that were inside of it, and maybe get some ideas that you could look at and say, yeah, that is something that we, probably should be looking at or focusing on, or, no, we don't need any of that, but we could use this. I mean, I'm just trying to give you some ideas and some background, and I like the similarity with the demographics of the city compared to what we did, so, I mean, where we're at. I just think if I didn't learn anything else in being mayor and in all the years that I was involved, is operating without a formal written plan is really irresponsible over the long term. And even if it's not, like you say, the whole Bible in front of you as a guidepost, you need some kind of direction in writing of what you're trying to do. And it needs to be out there so that the public can see it, and so that everybody's on the same page, and you've got a managed, consistent pathway forward.
It makes great sense.
Okay, we'll get that set up.
Just let me know.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else got any thoughts on any of that?
I think the idea of talking to Tom is really a great one, and he can probably save you a lot of time and effort in terms of focus, so that's terrific.
Does Tom's group write these? Does he do this?
So he was actually, I didn't know this until after I'd called him about it. He was going to consult with one of the firms that submitted a proposal to us, and but he didn't realize what they were going to be charging us either. So he's certainly open to the discussion, and would at least, I think at least having his expertise and experience in what would be viable here would be beneficial. So yes, he indicated he would be willing to help us out on that. So
What's his new company's name is?
Mullins Consulting Group or something. I mean, it's his name, I think.
I've got his card at my office, but he understands this area as well as anybody.
He does, and it's so ironic that, years ago, he came in, I had to ask him to come talk to city council, about direction, economic growth and all that type of thing. I think it was first year I was mayor maybe, so it's been extended periods of time. But, he spent a lot of that time talking about internet and where that would go, and how he felt like that White House at that time, I still remember, would be a good place for tech-related companies and that type of thing. And I of course, I still know just enough about internet and all of that to be dangerous. And I'm glad the city's doing what they're doing with that, because, what he said then sounded reasonable and something that I felt like that probably did make sense for our community. But I would really like to hear his insights on that years later and see what his thoughts would be, so.
TG Mullins Consulting.
And the other thing is I don't think there are a lot of firms out there that do this kind of thing, and if they
Yeah, they want the whole thing.
They want the whole thing. You know, if they're gonna do it, they wanna make some cheese.
Right.
A lot of them pay for a service to get all the data that goes into it,
That you'll already provide.
that we provide for free
Right.
for the city.
We did see that in one of the proposals. We were like, well, wait a minute. That's readily available through Encore.
And the other thing is you start talking about SWOT analysis and things like that, well, we've done those, we pretty well. If there's anybody here that doesn't know our strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats, I mean, I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So you can have somebody like a Mullen step you through the process. And
Sure.
and that'd be a great start.
Okay, we'll get that set up.
Okay. Moving on to item 4, discuss and consider the business after hours event.
One of those things that kept falling by the wayside that Stephanie has kind of taken and run with. So I'll turn it over to her and tell you what she's done.
So, I know that you guys were interested in doing one of TABA's business after hours events. So I contacted them to find out what their available dates were for those. And then I also contacted Jasper, and Jasper has availability for all of those. So if you decided that Jasper is where you guys would want to have it, they are available for every event they have. So the dates are August 2nd, September 6th, and then October 4th, but I think Leslie's going to be out of town, and then November 1st. So those are the ones that are open for the rest of this year. All the other ones are either spoken for or canceled. And so I do have their costs for it. So if you guys wanted to have it at their facility, it's $150 for an administration fee. And that's all they charge to use their facility, which we don't have the address there, but I think you guys know where it's at. And if you guys wanted to have it at Jasper, but wanted them to provide the food and drinks for that, I have pricing on that also. It really just depends on what direction you guys are wanting to go with it. When they provide food, they said they provide mixer type food. And then if you guys wanted the drinks, they would provide alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks.
Non-alcohol?
Alcoholic and non-alcoholic. So it's basically like bar. I'm sure they have some type of bar setup that they would set up. Whether it's at our location or at their location, it's going to be the same type of thing. One thing they did say was that they do have a meeting from 3 to 4 the days of those events at their facility for their board. And so then their president would come if we decide to have it here. Then they would come down here and do a presentation at 5 o'clock. They said that's pretty much how they handle their business after hours events. They do a 5 o'clock, their president speaks, and then they move on with it. I did get some pricing on like cocktail tables if you wanted to do that, and then I have pricing for Jasper also. So it really just depends on what direction you guys want to go in.
So I think, Stephanie, when we added it up at Jasper, we were thinking if we had TABA provide food and drinks and we held it at Jasper, we were looking at about, what, 3,000? It's been a while since
If they
we
did
talked
food
about it.
and drinks, yeah, it was going to be about, no, it was, where do we get that number?
I don't know.
I think it was closer to 2,000.
Okay. I couldn't remember.
Just depending on which room we wanted to use. There's
yeah.
2 different ones, and then there's different options for food and stuff. And then the tables, we'd have to get, if we wanted to do cocktail tables, which is more like a meet and greet type table with the covering and everything, it runs about $200 to get those in, because they don't provide those. That's for 10 tables. So if you guys needed less or more, it's going to vary a little bit, but that's just for 10 tables, coverings, everything else.
So what's the price doing it there?
So they don't charge, they just have their administration fee. So you can have it there. It doesn't cost anything extra to have it there.
So it'd be what, about $650 by the time we did food and drinks?
So food,
and
drinks, and the administration fee is $150.
Okay.
Or sorry, $650.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that is with them having a board meeting there, you know, maybe you get their board and maybe more people if we go to them. I'd rather have it here in White House, but at the same time, this is to get in front of the most people as possible, right? And so
Well,
Yeah, so you gotta weigh the goal.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Is
a
it to
tough
show
one
off our
because
community?
And they do have the ability, I know that you had talked about prior to me taking this role, was having the ability to showcase some different properties. And I was talking to them and they said they do have TV set up and things like that where they can loop things to get that information out for us too, so.
Sorry, Charles, I interrupted you.
no, I'll let everybody else discuss first before I give you my opinion. Cause I have strong opinions, as always.
I know.
Would y'all expect anything less?
No,
And,
we would not.
and I'm the same way, but you know, when you think about it, and I've gone to a lot of these events, and you know, for the Tyler folks, they tend to, especially the builders, they tend to go something that's easy for them to do, and I want to get in front of as many people, but I see the point of getting people over here as well. So I think it's one way, you know, 6 one way, half dozen the other. I do like having people in town and doing stuff in town, but I don't know. I'm wishy-washy on this one.
I'm a little confused. Where would Jasper?
So Jasper has an entire venue that they rent out.
But is it the one here at their offices?
It's at the off Glenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so isn't that in White House?
Mhm.
Oh.
That's not where the Taba office is. Taba is
Oh,
off. I think it's
Taba
off of.
office.
I think
Okay,
that's off
right.
of maybe
It's off
Grande.
Grande.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on Grande. Okay.
So that's where they would have it at their facility. If we wanted to have it at our facility, they would still bring their president in. They would still bring and set up
I
food
see,
and drink
I
for
see.
us if we wanted to do that. We would just have to facilitate them there. So.
Boy, I like the idea of having it out here in the White House personally.
Agreed.
I mean, to me, that's kind of the point. But I don't know.
You gonna say anything?
I don't even know where this Tava office is.
It's off Grande,
Grande.
before you get to,
Oh, Jacksonville.
And I've been to their office quite a bit, and it's a nice office. They've got parking. They've got a beautiful view of transmission lines right behind the office.
Spectacular.
But I will say that I think what we've got to figure out is how many do we want to see more people, talk to more people, or have as many people as possible come to White House. Because I think there's 2 different answers there. I think if you have it at Taba, you're going to see more builders, you're going to see more people. If you have it here, there'll be fewer people, but the people that come will get to see White House.
So I will say that when I talked to the people at Taba, they said that usually they have between 60 and 90 people, but it really depends on, and that's at their facility. And they said that it depends on everything from the weather to just, I mean, how busy people are, but I don't know how much that would affect how many people would come here, so.
This doesn't have to be a one-time
Sure.
event. I mean, there's nothing in the book that says we can't hold one of these next year. Too, that, but I'm of the opinion that if they actually go to the trouble to come to White House, they're probably curious or they're drunks. So that, you know, they want the free booze. So that's just my personal opinion, but probably more the former than the latter. When you're marketing something though, you know, you want to get in front of as many as you can because you might pique some interest in some other areas. So, you know, I certainly agree with you on, it is a dilemma, but I think it's also a lot easier to sell something inside of the city, or when we're trying to show what we're trying to sell. I think that makes a better talking point.
I don't think most people in Tyler know that Jasper facility, what kind of facility is there, and the kind of company that's then out here in White House. I think that would get their juices flowing a little bit.
if they can
Oh,
find it.
wow, this is a little different than I was thinking about.
Just tell them to
White
look for
House.
the Starbucks.
Yeah, or some, but anyway, I'm just thinking, they had all their preconceived notions about White House, and I think part of our job is tell them, hey, maybe those things are changing, maybe there's more you should be thinking about. I don't know, so.
No, I agree 100%. I think I would love to get as many people over here as possible and show them what White House has, what we actually have here in town, and show them. I just worry that
Yeah,
we have a meeting and, you know,
20 people show up, 15.
less than that show up.
yeah,
But if you have it there, you might have 60 or 70 people show up that are all builders, where you can showcase and talk to them about it, at least get it in their
I
mind,
see what you're saying.
and then have another meeting and bring them
Bring 'em
over
out.
here.
Had more of a slideshow at their spot, had to hit more people to prepare them for maybe, gee, they make the effort to come out to another one.
Yeah.
So it's marketing and then sales.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing. We go to California and New York and stuff like that to talk to them about what Texas offers, but they're not going to see it till they come.
The only other thing that you can do, if you wanna have it in the White House, the first one, and that was my first deal, was, have some giveaways.
You'd have to have a lot
You're
of.
gonna have to have,
I was gonna say, they do encourage you to have door prizes.
you're
and
gonna have to
stuff,
have
so.
door prizes either way.
And
but-
really good ones.
Yeah, and they don't need to be cheap. And, I've been to a couple of those events and they always give away nice stuff. They may not give away a whole bunch of them, but they may have 2 or 3
Really nice.
really
things.
nice things that, as incentives and that, so. And, I'm thinking a nice gift certificate to Montez, get them, and some things like that to
Yeah.
encourage them to come to White House and support some of our local people
Yeah.
like that. Might be a good door prize type things.
Based on what you're saying, it does seem to make sense that if we were to have it there first, that you would already have the follow-up event scheduled, and that would be part of the information that you would present there is, hey, look, right after this, we have another meeting scheduled in a month, so we'll have that one in White House, so if you were going to do it there first, I would.
I don't know if they'll let us have them
They-
that close together.
I
but-
think they will, because I think that at one point there was a block of them that was taken up by the same company. And so I don't know that they really care either way. I can find that out though, because they do have the August and the September both open back to back
I-
months.
Is
I
October
do-
TML?
Yes.
Okay.
So you'll be gone.
I'll be gone.
See, here's my thing, is that, and this is what I think that the association sees when they think of White House, is all they think of is Brian Conaway, and that he owns the entire marketplace out here. And I think if we're going to overcome that, I really think it's gonna have to be a 2-step approach.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting on that same wavelength too.
And we need to,
I had no opinion coming in after hearing, the ideas. I think it definitely makes a lot of sense to me.
what if,
Leslie, have we lost our
I like
minds over
it.
here?
I like it.
what if we bring some of our builders that aren't part of the Tyler Area Builders Association with us as part of hey, here's some builders that are building here. Maybe we could invite them to come and join us.
Do we have any builders that are not part of the association?
I don't know if they're not part of, but I think we have some other ones that may still be part of it that should definitely be there on our behalf.
Would be there on the night. Yeah, we need to make sure they come.
Village Hall needs to be there, we have a few others. So I just counted them up. Starting with Sunny Meadows through today, we have 1,000 lots in some form of construction, either recently completed, so Sunny Meadows, when that first house was completed. But you add all those up and 1,000 lots.
See, those kind of statistics, there was some just a few slideshows of some of the stuff that's being done. I think would really help.
How many of those are Conway?
Shahan Trail, right, phase 3,
That hasn't started, well,
but I mean, it's a Conway.
Shahan Trail,
That's 36.
are you
314.
including Hamilton Park?
Hamilton Park is 49. No, that's
Oh,
Hamilton
no,
Park
that's right,
Estates.
that's right.
Well, this estates and then there's the duplex
38
development.
duplexes, 76 total units.
Well, I'm just thinking if they feel like that we're kind of locked up with one
Yeah.
person, if we can prove and show, hey, this is how many we have available. You know, they've only got 30 or 40% of the market.
I would say,
We want to bring y'all
I would say he's less than 20.
less than 20% of the market. Then
Not out of that
See,
1,000.
just that would be a big aha moment for a lot of
314 of those are single Conway development.
Are they?
And did,
Is it that much?
Well, it's a new one that we haven't talked about yet.
was gonna
We
say
just got today.
Um,
So they're gonna be closer to,
Mhm.
yeah, 40% or so.
until that came in, no, but
Yeah.
now,
But we can show them, hey,
Yeah.
there's room
Yeah.
for people to come in and build good houses.
Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about something else in future agenda items, but
Okay.
I'll be quiet for now, cause I can't, I'm off. I will be.
Okay,
gone
so we're
for-
hearing direction of hold the first event at Taba and then a month, maybe 2 months later at Jasper.
Yep.
Yep, good.
can you do them back to back though?
We'll try.
That would be ideal.
Yeah.
Ideally, it'd be August and September for me. Agreed.
I agree.
And they are from 4 to 6 p.m.
Great.
So.
August and September work great. Later in the year it gets harder.
Do we, okay. I've never been to one of these events. I just wonder how attendance is in August, cause it's still a lot of daylight in August, so I don't know if they're out working on sites in August from 4 to 6.
Usually,
may not matter.
if they're anything
Maybe
like
too hot.
us, you start working earlier
Yeah,
and you end about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So
The decision makers are on
Yeah.
the job at the crack of dawn,
agreed.
and they have lunch, and then they're wrapping it up. It's too hot.
we start work at 6:30 or 7 in the summer, and so they can get out before it gets real hot.
Right, August and September, good.
Anybody have any other thoughts on the dates other than mine? All right, good job, everybody. Love it. Consider future agenda items. Item 5. I have one.
Okay.
I would like to see us start talking about how to build larger homes and how we can address that within the city. And one idea I have that I would like to discuss would be having the EDC look at acquiring property and doing our own development. And then allowing builders to purchase the lots from us and build homes accordingly. In other words, the EDC would be the developer. I would like to have that as an agenda item so that we could openly discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea. I also think it could tie in with the whole Parks and Rec thing. I keep thinking how the Parks and Rec ought to be going in a direction that opens up areas that will be, you know, really attractive.
So you wanna incorporate parks and.
In other words, that you would have potentially nice developments near and have access to wherever Parks and Rec is putting additional green space, bike trails, etc.
Okay, so that's a separate discussion under, like, item B would be connectivity and green spaces with the proposed development.
I'm just trying to think, I think,
Okay, we're on the agenda item, and so
Yeah.
we,
I may be getting you off on a tangent.
we're trying to,
I got you. We'll have it on the next agenda, so
yeah,
discuss it.
there we go. Anybody else got anything?
That's interesting. It's interesting, very interesting.
It's, you know,
It's worth talking about.
it's just an idea. I
I'd
haven't
love to.
jumped in front of a freight train in a while.
No, I'd love to.
And
I'd
that
love
you
to.
did.
I'd love to have that discussion as an agenda item to talk about the possibilities, the legalities behind it. I mean, I don't know. That's
Well, EDCs do business parks.
I was thinking instead of an industrial park, you're talking about a residential park. So
That's what came to mind, we'll talk about it next.
and I don't know that I've heard of a city doing.
I have.
Okay.
You can at least tell us that, so we can.
I
chew
can't.
on
I
it.
can't. It's not on the agenda, guys.
Okay.
We
What other
go to
city?
jail for things like that. We didn't have a free form conversation down here on the. Maybe we should have that in the future.
We can't have that. It's not allowed.
No, I'd love to see that on the agenda.
Anything else for next agenda?
That's a big one right there. That'll probably take quite a bit of time.
One of the things I would like to do is we're about to hire a new economic development director for Encore. I'd love to have them on the agenda to come in and talk to us
That'd be great.
and talk to us about our more rural focus in the future and what their take is on that. So they should be announcing that in the next week or two. And I've already put a bug in all the candidates' ears. They had to call me and ask me questions about certain topics, and so I'd like to do that. Bring them in here and talk to us a little bit.
You just wanna
Yeah, that sounds great.
get a future meeting date that works for them. We'll
Yeah.
get it on.
They'll make it work, I promise.
Okay.
And
What
Talk-
is our next meeting date, Susan?
The next meeting date would be March
March.
10th.
And then in
Is that too
April, oh, I don't have people's.
Okay, I can make that. I'm not leaving. I'm going on vacation right around that time, so I'm trying to. I
That's
might
before
not
spring
be.
break.
Do it.
That's before spring break.
Yeah, I think I'm going. I'm leaving the next week to go to North Carolina. So
April would be the 14th.
April 14th. Yeah, April 14th.
Unless there's something pressing, I would say let's just next meet in April.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of spring break and because of all the other
Yeah.
things that are going on. Just. I
That'll
mean,
work.
It's, unless somebody has a conflict.
It's not pressing. It's just I wanted to get them.
Yeah, that way we can incorporate that in there and have that discussion at the same time.
Excellent.
So there won't be a March 10th meeting, is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct.
Okay.
The April, like,
14th.
14th or something. Anybody got anything else? Future agenda items. If not, I'm gonna close that out, and we'll move to item F, which is receive reports from staff.
Members of the EDC, as you saw, Starbucks has started putting up steel at their location as of yesterday, day before. So they're moving forward. We are in conversations with another coffee shop across the street. So apparently their business model is to kind of come in, not right directly nearby Starbucks, but not too far from Starbucks, and kind of create a little bit of competition. So that'll be interesting to see how that moves through the process. As you saw, the urgent care clinic across the street finally has signage up, and I think they are this close to being ready to
Yay.
get their CO. So that's great news. Whataburger has submitted plans, and I think has a tentative date for groundbreaking, so as soon as I get their final date, I will let you all know. So that's exciting. What else, Susan?
The other development on East Main Street, we've still been in contact with them for the
The strip center
strip center right there.
by CVS, so they're still talking to us and working through some of their things. That's good. And as I mentioned, you know, with the development kind of plan that we received this morning, we're up to about 1,000 residential lots. So, it's still going strong, so.
Where is Butch at with, his retail pieces down there at Forestdale?
I haven't seen anything on his retail stuff. His focus has largely been on his current phase of residential. Yeah, we went through. Oh, Butch. So, we continue working with him. Mockingbird Phase 2, we're starting to see some movement. I don't know what the actual name of that development is. It's not Mockingbird.
It's Mockingbird Place.
Okay.
And it would be phase 2. I received a call from the engineer yesterday. I just have not had an opportunity to call him back yet. So,
Are there certain regions of the city that are getting the most development activity? Or are they kind of scattered around?
In the city limits and open space.
Yeah, I know,
It's-
there's a lot
it's
of
mostly
space.
southeast,
Southeast.
More south of town, that's what I would think, yeah.
southeast.
Yeah.
Down towards the
We've
lake.
got Shahan, we've got.
Shahan and just the
Manchester.
completed Manchester Heights, but for the, I think the bulk, we've Sunny Meadows, Mockingbird, Forestdale, and the new one that we were just discussing, that's all southeast,
Where's Mockingbird? Off of Hagen?
off of Hagen.
Yeah.
And then one other we've had very preliminary conversations with on 110 South.
Yes,
So,
but we're also not talking about Madison Village and then the remaining of Hamilton Park Estates, that would all be southeast as well.
did have a call from a developer this week who has 26 acres outside the city, and unfortunately they're in Tyler's ETJ. But they really wanted to be in the city of White House. We can still do sewer, but I don't know, I've got to talk to Jeff about it. But it's a good thing when developers are calling and wanting to be in the city of White House, so.
Beats those 14 years with the zero growth.
For sure.
That's really good.
Those housetops, rooftops.
Rooftops, that's the answer.
Still looking at my water bill though.
You know, there's always challenges with growth, but, you know, it's still the best way to control the cost over a longer period of time. If you've got solid, sustainable growth. You know, and for developers being able to build when, you know, the costs are so highly erratic, I guess is, you know, that's truly amazing. That tells you how big the demand is, I think.
I tell you, property prices will show you what the demand is right now. It's crazy. One question I have is in our interagency discussions with everybody, is the ISD ready for this growth?
Yes. Dr. Moran will always say yes.
Huh?
Dr. Moran will always say
He
yes.
says yes to everything.
Yes.
On that. We are prepared.
I mean, we got a lot of, the elementary schools are almost tapped out, so they've got to have a plan to build more and land to build more.
They have the land. That's what he said.
Huh?
That's what he told me. They have the land.
Did you know they're about to undertake a new strategic plan process? No doubt that will be a conversation.
Yeah, would be good.
Do we need more interaction with the school district at all in our economic development plan?
I think that is satisfied, in my opinion, through the interagency council and the meetings that we have with all the groups in town. I think that kind of satisfies that. And I don't think we would undertake a direction on the EDC without consulting our other partners, whether it be the chamber or the school district or, you know, Keep White House Beautiful or whomever else. I just don't, you know, I think that's sort of the methodology we're using now. And so, yeah, we each have to do our own thing, but I think from this being basically a public entity point of view, we wouldn't do anything without the other
Talking with
partners
them, yeah.
all engaged.
Were they at that, I only been at that last interagency thing, was there anybody from the school district there? I don't remember
There was
seeing
not
it.
at the last meeting, no.
But they usually.
have
They
somebody
usually
there,
go
yeah.
somewhere.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have. Is there anything else that we didn't cover?
I don't think so.
The only other thing I want you all to know is that our next interagency council meeting, we're gonna start talking about what needs our organizations may have that could maybe fit into 109 East Main, the karate studio. So whether that's it's a meeting space that they can use for their board meetings or collaboration space that they can use for planning meetings, any types of those things, we're gonna kind of nail that down. And I hope the council at their next council meeting, the architect will be here to kind of get their priorities and preferences for that facility. So I'm glad to, we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, but now we're kind of getting to the more public facing part of that process. So that's exciting.
I just would like to see an office door that has White House Economic Development Corporation on over the top of it, so that we actually look like we're in business.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And we go in and we see Stephanie's smiling face right now. And then she goes to the chamber building and then, how many offices are you gonna have?
Texas.
You're
all
gonna,
right
you're gonna
there.
need a sign that kind of.
Has
Yes, yes. What are you here?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Or EDC.
Or you can have a set of hats.
I think, you know, just the W logo behind it, the new W logo
They don't have
behind it. We don't really say that it's the city, the EDC, the chamber, the White House, it's just White House.
It's a mystery.
It's just a W.
And
She
then-
handles
It's not even that.
Okay.
It'd be interesting to see. I'd love to see, you know, with as many people working from home and as many people we have here, having several sets of conference rooms in there that small, medium, and large, where they could hold meetings,
It's one of our goals.
rent it.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. That'd be fantastic.
We agree.
I
We
like
just like to have one conference room, one nice conference room
Yeah,
would be
really,
really
really
great.
nice.
It doesn't sound like a jet engine taking off, you know, that's all we want. We're not asking for much. So yeah, that's definitely conference room, meeting space, like I said, collaborative space, yeah, all those things that we can make it available, not only to adults working from home, but I know we have, you know, if you're a high school student and are working on a group project, where do you go? You gotta go to somebody's house, and in this day and age, I don't know if that's the best solution.
It actually would be a nice little safe space for people to do things. That'd be cool. I love what y'all did at the police station. So.
Chief Robison and his team did a great job on that.
Okay, anything else? Hearing nothing, time is now 12:58 and we are adjourned.